Joined now by Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. Just got back. Was in Jersey City the last 3 days for NBA broadcast meetings, our first in-person meeting since 2019. So it was really great to see, so many of my fellow broadcasters, some that I hadn't seen, in 2 or 3 years. Just saw them on television, but didn't see them live in person. So it was great. Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, talked to us. Joe Dumars, the former Piston, the former front office executive, now is the head of NBA game operations. We talked about the game. Had a lot of, Monty McCutcheon heads the officials. And so learned about some of the new rules changes, some of the emphasis, all those kinds of things. So when that happens, Jim, you know that the season is close at hand. Later today, I'll be down at the practice facility. Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan, and the whole front office meeting with members of the Indianapolis media. We'll do that today. Media day is Monday, and the first practice of training camp is Tuesday. So summer is over. It is ready to get back to work.
What time is media day Monday?
Media day, let's see, I got a press release on it. I think it starts at 10.
Boy, that's a good possibility. We may have to do the show up there Monday.
I'm trying to see.
Do they do it over at the practice facility? Or
yeah, they do it. Yeah, they do it at the practice facility. It starts at 10 a.m. Media availability at 10 includes the coaches and the roster, and you have to RSVP. So I can forward you, who you need to contact.
Yeah, we'd love to come up and do the show from there. It'd be awesome as the Pacers get ready for this season. A season they hope to improve upon last year, and a lot more excitement going into this season with a lot of new faces. And a positive vibe going into the season.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I mean, it is a very young team in a very deep Eastern Conference. I mean, our message yesterday, and I firmly believe this, that there may be right now as much parity in the NBA and as many talented teams than we've seen in some time. There are going to be some teams in the East that don't make the playoffs that could be well over 500. So I think it's going to be an interesting year. You can never predict what's going to happen as far as injuries, those types of things. Teams that did a good job last year sometimes will take a step back the next year. But for the Pacers, I think it's all about building and growth. And I think it's, Jim, one of the things in my estimation, the fan base has embraced this because to some extent, they've asked for this to sort of have a reset. And they're doing it around some very talented young players that I think are going to be pivotal to this franchise over the next 3 to 5 years. So I'm really excited. I can't tell you what the wins and losses are going to be. I mean, if you look at what the national people think, the Pacers are well down the list. But I do think there's a solid plan. And, this franchise has been so proud for so long and been so very competitive. If you go back to the last 30 years, they rank in the top 5 in the Eastern Conference in Eastern Conference Finals appearances. It has not resulted in an NBA title, but they've always been there. But this was a situation that Chad Buchanan talked to the fan in Indianapolis yesterday, and I was able to listen to it in my hotel room. And he said, look, we just got to the point where we just weren't confident that the group we had put together could do what we wanted them to do. And we had to make a decision. We had ownership buy-in that we needed to do a little bit of a reset around a talented young group. And so that's what they're doing. And that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah, and it's like there's some youth on this team to invigorate it. Who are the veterans that you think are the guys that are going to be leaders on this team? Every team has to have them, and it seems like the Pacers. I'm not going to say they haven't had leadership on the floor, but you've wondered who is that guy or those guys.
I mean, I do think he's only going to be in his third year, but Tyrese Halliburton is a guy who will take ownership of the team, but he'll have some help. And I do believe a guy like T.J. McConnell, who may be the backup point guard, he's 30 years old, but he's been around the league. Uh, People look up to him in the locker room, and I think he'll have a solid voice in doing those things. They also just they signed James Johnson, who has been really all over the league. He's been with Miami. He's been with Brooklyn. He played for Rick Carlisle in Dallas. This is a 30-something veteran that I don't think they've brought in to play heavy minutes, but to be a sounding board in the locker room and to be a leader. That's what the Pacers did a number of years ago, if you remember, with Al Jefferson. They brought Al Jefferson in, and he was a tremendous locker room player. He didn't play all that much, but he was a huge sounding board for the young players. And he was key, I think, in the development of Miles Turner from a defensive standpoint. So I think those are the things that you're looking at. Leadership, to some extent, will be found during training camp. But I firmly believe that Tyrese Halliburton is more than willing to put that on his back and be the leader of this group.
And Buddy Hield, he's been in the league a while
Yeah.
now. I don't know what was 5. I don't know 5.
Yeah, he's
6
probably
years.
been 6, 7, 8 years.
Wow.
He's nearly 30 years old. He's a guy that can shoot the ball. Has a great relationship with Halliburton. And you're right. I mean, he's a guy that's been around. The one thing he hasn't done and he desperately wants to do, and that's make the playoffs. Now, the Pacers are going to have a tough time doing that this year just because of the depth of the East and where people project him. But I firmly believe Buddy was really happy with the trade last year. He found sort of a new voice in his play in Indianapolis. And I think you're right. He will be a critical element to this team this year.
Jalen Smith, he had in his second season now with the Pacers. First one went pretty well, 13 points, 7 rebounds in 22 games, shooting over 50% and 33% from 3 with 6 double-doubles. So he's also someone that could offer a big help.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy, if we all remember, when he was acquired by Phoenix, they had not extended his contract to year 3. So he automatically became a free agent this past summer, and the Pacers were capped with what they could give him. And I think everybody across the league and everybody here in Indianapolis thought there was no way that the Pacers would be able to retain Jalen Smith. But Jalen Smith saw a future here.
I was going to say, this is more on him staying.
And he's betting on himself. And he believes that the Pacers gave him a great opportunity. He's a little bit different in how he approaches things. Rick Carlisle said he had a chance to go sit down with his parents, and they said, they weren't just looking at the big money right now. They think, there's some big money down the road for him, but he's also, a very loyal person. And so I thought that was a huge get for the Pacers. And I think he's going to be a really, really good player.
Well, it's not only a huge get from a talent standpoint, it's a huge get from a talent standpoint, plus a guy who wants to be there and wants to be a part of that organization, which has been not always the case with certain players in several years. Without mentioning names.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you have a group of players that want to grow together within the organization. And let's be honest, as you look across sports now, whether it be the NFL or MLB or the NBA, you're really looking at 3 to 4 year windows, right? Because that's how you build a team. I mean, think about Golden State. They've won 4 championships, and they've done it with 3 guys that have been together the entire time: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. And then they add pieces around those guys. But those 3 are the guys that were drafted by Golden State. They were not brought in free agency. They were drafted by Golden State, and they have been there. They've been loyal. Sure, they're paid well, but they are hungry to win championships. And I think that's what that's what the Pacers are trying to do. The model now, Jim, is if you look across the league, Memphis has built with youth.
They drafted Ja Morant. They have Jaren Jackson Jr. They have Brandon Clark, who played at Gonzaga, and then they sprinkle veterans around them. Look at what Cleveland's doing. They just added Donovan Mitchell to a very young team, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. So, in some regard, it's a copycat league, and you look across the league and see what's successful. And I think for the Pacers, they've done a heck of a job over the years of putting things together. In 2017-18, when they had a Thad Young and a Bojan Bogdanovic, they added Sabonis, they added Oladipo. They won 45 or 47 games and took Cleveland to 7 games in the first round. So there's many different ways you can do it, but I think right now this is the right way for the Pacers to do it.
Dabney asking, is Buddy Hield going to be here for the upcoming season?
Well, I mean, he's here right now. And here's the thing that Chad Buchanan said yesterday on his interview here in Indianapolis. He goes, look, our job is to listen. If teams call us, we have to listen to see if what they are offering can help make our team better. It doesn't mean we're out there peddling our players, but I'm sure they had people call them about Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and all that, but they didn't see anything that they thought would help their team. And they feel like these guys right now are best to be Indiana Pacers to help them on the floor.
Yeah, because that's what they're I hate to say that they expect to win this year, but they probably are not expecting to be at the NBA Finals. They're building the team for next year, possibly year after that. You don't just get to a championship game when you have a team that, like the Pacers, where you've had to start building. It just doesn't happen overnight. So if an offer comes, like you just said, if they can get another piece that next year makes this team better, they would be dumb not to do it. Of course they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your job. And I thought Chad did a really good job speaking about Miles in particular, because Miles is the longest tenured Pacer. And we all know what the Pacers were trying to do with DeAndre Ayton. How does that affect Miles Turner? But Miles is a pro. Miles understands it's a business, right? But at the same time, the Pacers have great faith in wanting to see what Miles can do with Tyrese Halliburton and Jalen Smith. Remember, when they made that trade at the All-Star, roughly around the All-Star break, Miles had already been designated as basically out for the year. So he's never played with this new group. And so I think that's going to be the fascinating thing to watch in training camp, in the preseason, and when the season starts in mid-October.
I saw a great piece, I think, that is in the Star today. Is that by Dana? Dana Hunsinger Benbow, on ex-Pacers player, an NBA player, Chad Buttinger, who played 7-8 years in the NBA. He played with the Pacers for 1 year, but he is one of the top men's volleyball players in the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball League, and he is playing in the championship this weekend.
Yeah, he's played at Arizona. He's a West Coast kid, so I'm sure he played a lot of volleyball while he played basketball when he was growing up. But he has really become an outstanding volleyball player. I mean, we think back what Karch Karai and all those guys during the Olympics and those types of things, and even at the college level, Jim, they have beach volleyball, right? I think the NCAA has a beach volleyball championship. So he was a really neat guy to be around. He was only around the Pacers, like you said, for about a year. I think he played 7 or 8 years in the NBA. So it is cool to see somebody like that do something a little bit different.
Yeah, very cool to see that. What's up next for you, man?
Well, just getting ready for the year. I mean, once Monday comes, it really begins everything with media day and training camp. I'll be at practice. It's the great thing what the Pacers have done. I'm getting ready to start my 17th year, and we're able to go to every practice, sit there for the entirety, go to all the shoot-arounds. There are a lot of broadcasters that don't get that opportunity with other teams. So it's great that we're able to do that. It enables us to be around the players, be around the coaches, and looking forward to that starting next week.